Wasabi Wallet. Unfairly private.
Casa is a company that offers collaborative multi-signature solutions to secure your Bitcoin. Now, if you're unfamiliar with multisig, it is the act of creating a digital vault that requires multiple keys to successfully unlock and spend your funds. Today, I'm going to be taking a look at Casa's Platinum option, which is a 3 of 5 multisig solution, which effectively gives you a lot of wiggle room to screw up and still not lose your funds. I am Ben with the BTC Sessions, and this is your daily session.
Hodl the Bitcoin.
Before we get rolling, quick shout out to sponsors of the show, LEDN.io. You can use your Bitcoin for a variety of different services here, particularly if you're in a pinch and you need to get your hands on dollars, but you don't want to sell your Bitcoin to do so because that is a taxable event and maybe you're worried about having to buy back in at a higher price. You can use their Bitcoin backed loans. You can deposit Bitcoin, get dollars into your bank account within 24 hours. And when you pay back those dollars, you get back the same amount of Bitcoin, which to me is the important number. Of course, they do have their Bitcoin and USDC savings accounts with interest rates of up to 9.5% annually paid monthly. And they've got their B2X offering. If you're feeling mega bullish, you can check them out. Links are down below. And if you click that link and opt to get a loan product, they'll give you $25 for free into your savings. Now, if you're stacking sats in Canada, Bitbuy is a great place to do it. These guys are serious when it comes to security. They're doing their proof of reserves audits every single year since 2019. Now they've got a easy to use web interface, a dedicated app that you can get on mobile for Android and iOS. And after your first $250, they'll give you $20 for free. So be sure to check them out. Now, I do live on Bitcoin, and one of the things that really helps me with that is Bitrefill. You can pick up any gift card you can imagine from tons of different countries. You can pay on chain with Bitcoin, or you can pay via the Lightning Network if you prefer, which I do. And you do earn sats back as you shop. So be sure to head over and check out Bitrefill. These guys are awesome. Now, the Keystone, one of my favorite and most used hardware wallets. This thing is fully air gapped, meaning you never plug it into anything internet connected. It's all done via QR code. It does have a secure element on it and Bitcoin only firmware, and it works with all of my favorite wallets like Blue Wallet and Wasabi and a ton of others. So be sure to check it out. Super awesome. Links are below. And finally, I will mention the BillFodl briefly here. You can back up in solid steel, and we're going to touch on the BillFodl later in the video. I'll mention it when we're backing up one of our hardware devices. And with that, let's dive into the show. So let's talk a little bit about what you get with this Platinum membership. So as I said, this is a 3 of 5 multi-sig setup. What that means is there are 5 potential keys to your vault, and there are 3 required to unlock and spend funds. Now, what are these keys? One will reside in an app on your phone, which is a native application that you can download via the App Store, really easy. And one of the keys, yes, will sit on that hot wallet. However, they also send you a few devices. You get 2 Trezor ones. You also get a Ledger Nano S sent to you. Alongside that, you do get a handy connector. If you're on a Mac, this goes USB-A to USB-C, just in case you need that. If you don't need it, well, you get it anyway. So that's awesome. You also get Faraday bags. These effectively make it so that if there's an EMP, an electromagnetic pulse, it won't wipe your hardware devices. So you end up putting them in this after the fact. You have 3 of them, 1 for each of the hardware devices you have. You will also have a tamper evident bag. This is for a seed phrase to go in. You will also have these little stickers here. I'm just going to hold them up. So they kind of label your keys separately. There's a home sticker, there's a office sticker, and there is a safe sticker. And again, they don't have to necessarily be placed in your home, in your office, and in a safe, but this is just more an identification metric, so you know which of these devices is which key represented in your setup. And finally, there will be another key which is held by Casa, and there's a security measure to ensure that that is only used if necessary, and it is indeed used by you and not an attacker. So with that said, we're going to be going through this setup exactly as Casa encourages you to do it. Okay, some of the way that they're doing this is maybe different than if you were doing a multi-sig setup on your own with entirely your own keys and without them as kind of like a fallback mechanism. That would be treated likely very differently. This is more so that you're not kind of creating easy ways for people to access your multisig. Multisig in general is pretty damn secure if you do it in a way where user error does not contribute to you losing your funds. And I kind of feel like the way they've done it here, it leaves a lot of room for you to have user errors and still be able to access your funds. I will do my best to explain how they set it up and why certain things are done certain ways as we go through, but I digress. We're getting a lot of rambling here because there's a lot to cover. We're going to dive in and we're going to start right off the bat by setting up our hardware devices. So first up, we're going to deal with our Ledger Nano S. Now, I've gotten this out of the package. I've plugged it into my computer and I've got Ledger Manager, or Ledger Live rather, up on my desktop, which can be downloaded from the Ledger website. So on the device here, you can see it says welcome to Ledger Nano S. If you scroll to the side, you have these two buttons to navigate side to side from your selections, and we're going to go until we see set up as new device, and we're going to select that with both buttons. Now we're going to choose a PIN code. Now, Casa recommends your PIN code be the same across all devices, and this is to limit the amount of confusion and potential user error across your multisig setup. The multisig itself is the security mechanism. Adding confusing different PIN codes to every single device could be a little bit too much complexity, and I would echo what they're saying there. Let's just keep the same PIN code. So we're going to select this with two buttons, and I'm going to choose a very simple one. I would not recommend choosing this one, but I'm just going to do 1 2 3 4 for simplicity's sake and just for the purposes of this video. Okay, we go up and down with the side-to-side buttons. We to select, once you've picked a number, you press with both buttons. When you get to the end, you can hit the check mark, or you can continue to do up to an 8-digit PIN code. I'm going to stick with 1 2 3 4 and hit done. Then we confirm both buttons again, and we'll just enter that same PIN number. Now it says write down your recovery phrase. And it's going to go through, it's going to give you a list of 24 words, one at a time. You're going to write them all down, or you're going to back them up on something like the BillFodl over at privacypros.io. Highly recommend getting this thing on steel, because that if you have it just on kind of the piece of paper that they provide to you, that opens you up to things like fire damage, water damage, or accidentally discarding the thing if you're not paying attention. So if you really want to back this thing up a little bit more securely, consider getting a BillFodl or any sort of steel type backup. Again, I'll link that down below if you want to check it out. But anyways, you see here, word number 1, you're going to write that down, and then you're going to hit the right button to move on to the next one, all the way through to word 24. So we'll be back in a second once we've done that.
A few moments later.
Once you've cycled through all the words, it will say that you can press left to verify your words and go back through them. Or you can go to the right and hit confirm your recovery phrase. So I'm going to do that. Now it says confirm number 1, word number 1. And so what you're going to do is you're going to cycle through the words until you see the first word, which we saw was broom. And now that I've found it, I'm going to click with both buttons to select it. You are going to do this for all your words. Yes, this is important. Yes, this is tedious, but necessary. So we'll be back once I've confirmed all 24 words. Now that I've confirmed all of them, it says these 24 words are your only backup. Keep them in a secure place. Never share them with anyone. Press both buttons to continue. Okay, so it says my device is now ready, and I can press both buttons to enter the dashboard. And we now have the device with the keys on it, but there are no applications on it. We do need to install apps, and that's what we use Ledger Live on desktop for. So we're done temporarily with the device, just for a second here. And on my desktop, I'm going to hit Get Started. And they, of course, have their terms and agreements. Enter. We have a Ledger Nano S we'll select. And we're going to, we already have a recovery phrase because we just did that on the device itself. So we're going to hit Connect our Ledger Nano S. Now, we've done all the setup and everything. We're going to hit Check My Nano. And here on the device, it'll say Allow Ledger Manager. We're going to hit both buttons to do so. All good. Ledger Nano S is genuine and ready to use the Ledger Live. We're going to hit Continue. And then within Manager, I want to click right here on the left-hand side of the screen. We're going to hit Manager. And what I'd like to do first is I'd like to update the firmware up in the top right so that this device has the latest software on it so that we know that it's up to date. There's no bugs or anything like that. So we're going to hit Update Firmware. It says what's new, lets us know any sort of additional updates that it has. I have my recovery phrase and we're going to hit Continue. Now it's downloading the update and it will install it momentarily. Okay, now it says on our screen here, verify the identifier. This is just making sure that what we see on the screen is correct on the device. And so on the top right here, we're going to hit the button on our ledger. And the identifier is listed here, 3587A. We can see 3587A on our screen. Just scroll through and kind of eyeball it, make sure it's the same identifier number. All that looks good, and it gets to a screen where it says Perform Update. Select it with both buttons, and enter your PIN code. PIN code one more time. And there we go. So we've updated the firmware, and the last thing we need to do is just right here on the same screen, we hit Install Apps. And this is where we add applications to actually deal with specific coins. Now it says Allow Ledger Manager one more time. We're going to select that with both buttons on the ledger. And all we're going to do right now is we're going to go the top option, Bitcoin, BTC. We're going to install that. All right, there we go. Now, if you wanted to use this device as a standalone to hold Bitcoin, then you could do that via the Ledger Manager here, and you could add an account. We do not need to do that in the setup with Casa. So we are now done for now with our Ledger, and we'll come back to it in a little bit. But let's go ahead and set up our next devices. Now here we are with the Trezor 1 and Trezor Suite downloaded from the Trezor website, which is a desktop app, which we will use to set up this device. Now we have two of these, so I'm just going to show myself doing this once, and then you just repeat it again for the second one. So as soon as you plug this thing in, it will recognize it and say set up Trezor. So you just want to make sure that the box, there's tamper evident seal, so on and so forth, that you got it from an official source or from Casa, package wasn't tampered, so on and so forth. So I'm going to head over and click set up Trezor. Now, first thing we're going to do is we're going to install the firmware because this doesn't have any firmware on it yet. We're going to hit install. Okay, so now we're going to disconnect our Trezor and we're not going to hold any buttons while plugging it back in. So quick disconnect here. Now, please make sure you're not holding any buttons. There's only two, 1, 2 on the front. I'm just going to plug this in without holding either of them. Okay, it says, would you like to install the new firmware on the device? I hit continue. All right, new firmware has been successfully installed. It's just going to restart. Perfect. And then we're going to hit continue in Trezor Suite. Now it says we can create a new wallet or restore from backup. We are creating new. All right, we're going to do a standard seed backup. Now it says on the device, do you really want to create a new wallet? I'm going to confirm. Your wallet is almost ready, and we've successfully set up the Trezor. You created your wallet. You should never use Trezor without backing it up. It is the only way to recover a lost wallet. Now, this is good advice when you're using it as a single key. However, this is part of a multi-sig, and Casa's reasoning here is at creating a secondary backup of this device in a context of a multi-sig. The whole point of the multi-sig with Casa is that if you lose a piece of the puzzle, you still have 4 out of 3 things that you need to recover your account and your funds. So their reasoning is, with the Trezor, they say you don't need to, and in some cases they recommend that you don't, actually keep a backup of the Trezor seed. So as per Casa and the recommendation with this 3 of 5 multisig, I'm not going to create a backup, okay? I'm going to hit skip backup, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to set my PIN. Do you really want to set a new PIN? I'm going to hit confirm. Now it shows here scrambled numbers on your screen, and then on the actual computer here, it shows a blank PIN where you can put in your numbers. So I'm going to do the same PIN as before using the Trezor for reference. I'm going to hit enter PIN, and then it scrambles the numbers again and asks you to re-put in that PIN. All right, PIN changed successfully. I can close that and hit continue. And all we need here, activate coins. We just want Bitcoin. We are set there. And we can hit complete setup. Now we can name this one. We'll call this, going along with the theme of Casa where they label your different keys, I'm going to call the ledger, this will be our home key. I'm going to call this Trezor the office key. So I will just here, and I don't even really need to do this on the actual Trezor setup, but I'll do it just because. And then we'll hit access suite. We're going to hit standard wallet. There we go. And you'll notice up top, it does give us that warning, your Trezor wallet is not backed up. Okay, so we're going to leave that for now. You can do this, but I will advise one thing. If you back up the seed phrase, you should keep it separately from any of your other keys and separately from the device itself, because the device has a PIN number to access the keys. The backup seed phrase will not have that. So if somebody snaps a picture of it, they may get a copy of it and you may never even know it could be compromised. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now we did write down a backup, and I'm going to talk about this even though we're doing the Trezor setup right now. We did do a backup of our ledger. Okay, and our ledger, we did write down the seed phrase. You either put it on a recovery sheet like this, or you used something like in steel, like the BillFodl. And what you would do here is this mitigates the risk of, if every single one of your hardware devices, both Trezors and the ledger, all fail simultaneously, you will still have Casa, who has a key, and you will still have the key on your phone. And then if you have this one recovery sheet, they call this mostly seedless because you have one recovery from your ledger and you keep it in your tamper evident bag. Okay? And so that if all actual hardware that you have totally fails, you still have 3 of 5 keys to access your funds. Okay, so that's their reasoning there. Odds of all hardware devices failing all at once are pretty slim. But if you're really worried about it, you can create backups for both Trezors as well. But given the way and the thinking of Casa, they're saying keep the one and put it in the tamper evident bag. So we are set with this one. We are going to now do the same thing for the second wallet. I'll show you getting started with that and then we'll skip ahead. As soon as you unplug the Trezor you've just set up, it will boot you out of the Trezor screen in Trezor Suite on your computer. And you'll now be able to plug in the second Trezor, which I've just taken out of the package. And this will take you back to the same security check that you initially did. You're going to hit Setup Trezor. You're going to install the firmware. And you're going to go through all of the same steps that you just did, including disconnecting, connecting it again. All of these same steps you're going through. You are going to do that until you get to the final screen where everything was set up again before. We'll jump to that in a moment. And we're all done now. We've got this device set up exactly the same as the last one. I've labeled this one as the safe key. So we have our home, which is the ledger. We have our office, which is the other Trezor, and we have our safe key, which is this one currently plugged in. We're now ready to jump to the mobile app. This is the Casa app, and all you do when you get to this app is you log in with your Casa account, which you will get if you're choosing to go with Casa. So it'll be an email address associated with you, and you will download this app. And once you get into this and you're logged in, you're going to hit Begin Key Shield Setup. So first we're going to set up the mobile key, which is the top option. First step complete. Continue. Let's back up your mobile keys. We're going to hit continue. Now you're going to choose So this is going to save a mobile key to your Google account. I'm going to hit allow. And this will back up the seed phrase and will be associated with your Casa account. Great, so we're done the mobile key. Now we're going to set up the home key, which is, remember, the ledger. So we're going to hit setup home key, and this is going to send a setup email to the associated account. So this is now going to be bumped to our email, which will prompt us. It'll give us a link to click on, and we'll go through and we'll connect our ledger and see what we do here. I received an email that says set up your key, and this bumps me to this URL where we can now choose which device we're going to set up. Of course, they sent us 2 Trezors and a ledger. You also have the option of using your own cold card, and I believe they're going to be adding some other stuff down the line, perhaps something like the Keystone and some other options. So we're going to click on ledger for right now. Okay, so we need to unlock our ledger, which is currently plugged in with our PIN code. Okay, now that it's unlocked, we've installed the Bitcoin app. We need to open that app with by selecting it and then clicking with both buttons. It says application is ready. Now, we can then hit the continue button. We're going to click Nano S and connect. It says that worked. You can now safely unplug the device and close this window. Continue by following the instructions in the mobile app. And really quick, I can already see that within the mobile app, the home key is now set up and associated with my ledger. Let's jump to the next one, which will be the office key. And we're going to hit send setup email. Exact same thing as before, this time with Trezor. Same email, same link. I'm now plugged into my office Trezor. And we're going to, within this link, click on Trezor. And we're going to hit continue. This bumps us to this interface here. We're going to hit don't ask me again. Always allow for this service. I'm going to hit export. And then we have to type in our PIN. So we take a glance at the Trezor and we type in our PIN number on the screen. Now it asks if we want to enter a passphrase on this. There is no passphrase associated with this one. So we're going to leave blank. It says leave passphrase blank to access your default wallet, which is exactly what we're doing. So don't get confused and enter a passphrase here, because this will create a totally different multi-sig setup if you do so. So leave it blank. All right, that worked. We can now safely unplug. And if we look at our mobile device, our office key is now done. We're going to do this one more time. We're going to do this one more time. We're going to hit setup safe key. We're going to send the email. And let's do this. Same email, same link, next Trezor device. We're going to click on the Trezor option. We're going to hit continue. Don't ask me again. Always allow for the service. Export. Take a glance and type in your PIN. Again, no passphrase. Please do not put in a passphrase here. Enter. That worked. And again, safe to unplug. So now we have everything done. Mobile key, home key, office key, safe key. One last step, which is setup recovery key. We're going to go ahead, when we tap on that, we're going to hit setup photo recovery. Now, this can be a photo of yourself. However, if you are pseudonymous and you prefer not to have a photo of yourself associated with your Casa account, you can pick a unique item to take a photo of that would be difficult to replicate. Something unique that not a lot of people would have, okay? And you can use that if you choose. I'm gonna do a stupid selfie right now. I'm gonna hit continue. Beautiful. Hopefully that's hard to replicate. I'm going to hit continue. So this is all done. We have our recovery key so that if we need to ask Casa to sign on our behalf, we will then have to do a video call with them, at which point they will assess if the key or the picture that we provided is also provided here, okay? So that does it line up? They got to make sure that the person they're dealing with isn't under duress, that it's the right person. They'll also do little things to make sure that you are not under duress, that nobody's threatening you. You can even, if you're with Platinum, you can set up a duress word where it's, the name of a place or a certain food, and you inject that into regular conversation so that if they hear that particular word, they will know that you're under duress and they will lock down your account. Okay, so yes, this is like above and beyond your typical backup setup where you're pretty insulated from people screwing around with you. Okay, so we're gonna go back. And we now see mobile key, home key, office key, safe key, and Casa recovery key, all good. And we've got our 5 pieces of the puzzle putting together everything that we have here. Now within the app, we are set up. We have our security here. We can tap on that and check all of them. You can take a look at the last time you backed it up. You can perform health checks on these. You can mark them as compromised if you lose one of the seeds and you need to swap it out. You can import or export a backup. You can view the public keys. There's a lot of stuff you can do here. And so you can also now deposit Bitcoin into your account. And when you do that, it's a quick deposit. You have an address here that you can copy and send funds to. So we're going to practice actually sending and receiving in a moment, but let's keep looking around the app. Now, there is also an option down at the bottom. There is a buy Bitcoin button. You can actually purchase via the app and link a debit card if you so choose, if that's where you're going to be buying Bitcoin from. This will vary depending on what type of setup. There is a 2 of 3 multi-sig setup, there is platinum, and there is diamond. And so obviously I'm in platinum right now. This allows me to see the FAQ, send an email, but it adds extra things. I can schedule a call, or I can do an emergency call, or I can do an emergency lockdown to lock down my entire account. Now, if you tap this, it says, are you sure? So don't worry, you're not going to accidentally tap it and then be screwed. But you can lock down your entire account. If something happens, if you're super worried and you think that your funds may be at risk, you can do so here. I'm going to carefully hit not now. All right. And then same thing, you have your profile here, and this gives you the email address, all of that. You can lock the app with any sort of, PIN or whatever you like. You can do 2-factor authentication, default currency. You can hide the asset totals. You can display testnet only. There's a lot of different stuff here that you can do. You can even sign out of the app, so on and so forth. We are all set. Let's practice funding our vault, and let's practice sending out of it. Okay, let's just quickly reiterate what is here with our Casa setup. Number 1, we have our home key, which is our Ledger Nano S, and the included Faraday bag. This will go inside there and will go to a location likely in our home. Okay, up next we have the first Trezor. This is our office key, and this will go to an alternative location, again, inside the Faraday bag. Third, we have our second Trezor, which will also go inside the Faraday bag and will go to another location, not the same as the previous 2. Finally, we have our tamper-evident bag, which will include our recovery of our ledger. And I'm going to be putting it on a BillFodl in steel, just in case, fire or water damage. Now, these are all of the items that we have, as well as the app on our phone, which houses a 4th key. To reiterate, this tamper-evident bag is a just-in-case. Reason being, if every single one of these devices fail, we still have a backup of 1, and we have a 2nd key as an app on our phone, and we have a 3rd key as a backup with Casa itself, so we will still be able to access our funds if all of this fails. It is very important that all of these individual pieces go to separate locations, because if they're in the same location, that can compromise your security. Receiving to your Casa vault is super easy. Just on the main screen here, hit the little arrow to the bottom, and we're going to hit the deposit Bitcoin button. This gives you an address. Now, if you have another mobile phone, you can scan this QR code, or down below, there's a string of digits. That is your receiving address. You will get a new one every time. It's always recommended to always use a new one. You can send again to an previously used address, but in instances where you lose a device and then you add a new one and you swap it in, it creates an entirely new vault. And so if you get in the habit of using old addresses, you may end up sending to something that is harder to access. So again, always best to use new addresses. I'm going to go ahead and hit copy. And we're going to jump to another wallet I have here called Blockstream Green. I've done a full video on it if you want to learn how to use it, but I will just quickly jump in. And just from within my main screen here, I'm going to hit send. I'm going to paste in that address we just copied. I'm going to hit add amount. And we're going to send over about $100. And just to make sure that it comes through quickly as we're doing this video, I'm going to do a higher fee, and then we'll just verify and send it off. Okay, so that has been sent now. We jump back to the Casa app. We can close that. And then in a moment, it should show up in the transactions here. There we go. We can see that it's already popped up $100 worth of Bitcoin. Bitcoin transactions on average take about 10 minutes to confirm. So when you first receive a Bitcoin transaction, it will show up in the balance above, but it will not show as a completed transaction below until it has been officially confirmed on the Bitcoin blockchain. This has now happened, which means we can now send money out from our vault if we choose to do so. And we can now see below we have both send and receive buttons ready to go. So we're going to practice sending out from our Casa vault back into Blockstream Green. So let's see what that looks like. We're going to hit send, and we're going to choose an amount either in dollars or in Bitcoin. So you can kind of choose whatever you like, but right now I'm going to, and by the way, you can input BTC by right there, or you can switch to US dollars or whatever currency you're dealing with within the settings. So I like to send out half of the amount, okay? You can hit send max if you choose to. Anyways, I'm gonna hit continue here. Then I can either scan an address with the camera on my phone if there's a QR code in front of me, or I can enter the address. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go back to green here. I'm going to hit receive. I'm going to copy an address here. Let's just jump back. Now, if you're sending out, it also has shortcuts here because there is a single key wallet, which I will show you in a moment. So this is basically a hot wallet for day-to-day spending that also resides in the Casa app. So if you want to quickly send there, you can. Or you can send, if you're sending from the single SIG wallet, you can send directly to your key shield, which is the 305 multisig that we just set up. So either one, we're going to enter an address and you just paste it in. There we go. That's the one we copied from green address. We're going to hit continue. Okay. So it now says you're sending this amount of Bitcoin to this destination, and you can set your transaction fee. I will do so here, and it gives you options: fast, normal, slow, or cheapest, and that's pretty much it. You don't have a manual option here currently, although that would be wonderful to see. Fees aren't particularly high right now anyways, so I'm just going to go ahead with normal and review send. So this all looks good here. I'm going to swipe up to confirm. And what this does is it's going to basically say begin signing transaction. Now, we already have a transaction from the key that resides in the Casa app on our phone. Now, we can sign with hardware devices, of which we have 3, and we only need 2, or we can sign with a hardware device and with a Casa recovery key, which would be through the company signing for us with the 1 key they hold. Now, this would require a 48-hour delay, okay, just so you know, but we're going to use our hardware right now. So we're going to hit continue. Now, this is sending an email to us, and we're going to jump to our computer to sign these transactions. So I received an email that says sign the second key for your transaction on Casa, which bumped me out to a familiar screen that we've seen before. We're going to talk to your device, and I'm going to hit, I'm using my Trezor right now. I'm going to hit sign transaction. Now my Trezor is plugged in, and I'm going to say, don't ask me again, allow for this service, and we're going to enter a PIN as we've done in the past, but this time it's approving a transaction. Hit confirm. Now we're not going to use a passphrase. We're going to hit enter. Okay, now on the device, this is what's different this time around. It says it's confirming you're sending this amount of Bitcoin to this address, and I can cancel or confirm. I'm going to confirm. And do you really want to send? So it double checks. Do you really want to send this? Yes, I do. Confirm. Perfect. That worked. I can now safely unplug your device and close this window. And I can continue in the mobile app. Now back here in the mobile app, I can see my mobile key has signed. My office device has signed, and now it says, what do you want to do for your third signature? You can use another hardware device, or you can ask Casa to sign for you. So we're going to do hardware device again, and we're going to hit continue. Same process. We're going to get an email, and we'll jump to the computer. This time around, I got an email that says add your third signature, and I've grabbed my ledger this time. And we're just going to, on the screen here, the link that we clicked from the email, we're going to select Ledger. Now we need to connect our device, so I need to enter my PIN. And I need to open the Bitcoin app. So that's all set. I'm going to click, I've done all those above, and I'm going to sign transaction. Now, it's going to review what we're doing. Review output number 1. You're sending this amount of Bitcoin to this address. Do you accept or do you reject? I'm going to accept with both buttons. Now, review output 2. The rest is going to be change that goes back into my Casa account. I can accept or decline. I'll accept. And then it also gets you to confirm the amount of fees being spent. I'm going to accept. And it says that worked. You can now safely unplug your device and close the window. Continue by following instructions on the mobile app. And we will do so. Now with the ledger, of course, I didn't have my screen pulled up as I did before. I apologize for that, but it was the exact same as the Trezor. It basically just says connect your device and put in your PIN. Here we are back in the mobile app, and it says that you have signatures from your mobile device, from your home device, and your office device, depending on what you used. It has not been broadcast yet. To do so, you just hit complete transaction. So I'm going to do so. We have the credentials to send. It says, success, your transaction has been broadcast to the network. We're bumped back out. Now, if I go down, I can see sent today for the amount that we previously approved. And we can see if I pull down a little bit, it updates our balance here. And even still, I can jump back to Green Wallet. And here within Green Wallet, we can see an incoming transaction for the amount that we sent from Casa. Now, let's say that you wanted to access your Casa vault without Casa involved. How might you do this? Now, they do have a detailed breakdown of how exactly you would do this. However, you can go in and within your settings, you can actually, it says send sovereign recovery info. And this will send you a full set of instructions of how to back up and recover your funds without the help of Casa, by giving you the information to put together this multi-sig vault within Electrum, or Spectre on desktop. Now, I'm not going to go through that whole process, but just know it is right there, so you can indeed access this multi-sig setup without the need for Casa to be involved at any point, including utilizing the app here. So just know that that is available to you. Now, what about if you have a problem with one of these keys or devices? You lose one and you need to replace it. Well, you can actually tap on whatever key it is that you've lost or you think may be compromised. You can go and you can hit Mark as Compromised. Now, here it says this means you'll no longer be able to use this key to send funds outside of Casa. Only do this if your key is lost, damaged, stolen, or needs to be replaced. Do not compromise more than one key at a time. If you proceed, you'll need to replace this key and transfer your entire existing balance to a new updated key set that includes your new key. Don't worry, we'll guide you through everything. If you set up sub-accounts, you'll need to transfer each sub-account separately. I'll show you what that is. And if you are replacing a device that still works, do not discard or wipe the device until after all funds have been transferred to the new key set. You can hit yes, continue here if you are in that situation, and it will effectively ask you to add a new device, a replacement device, and then it will create an entirely new wallet and then send out the funds to the new wallet with the new multi-sig setup, including your new device. Okay, the setup for that single device is the same as the email setup was previously, where they send you a link and you click it and you add, you sign a message with your device plugged into your computer, all the same. And then they set up a new wallet and you move all of your existing funds with your remaining keys to the new setup. So that is where you find this. And one thing I wanted to touch on here also is that you can have sub-accounts. So if I'm in my key shield, which is on the top left here, and I hit the down arrow, there's a plus button that allows you to add a sub-account. So if you want to separate out funds and say, okay, this is long-term savings, this is going towards something else. Maybe you're holding some Bitcoin on behalf of a spouse, or on behalf of a family member, or a son or daughter, whatever it may be. This might be how you do it, okay? And just simply add that, and it will separate these out as different accounts. And finally, I just wanted to quickly touch on, at the top right, the single key wallet. This allows you to use a regular single signature Bitcoin wallet that is a hot wallet, meaning it's connected to the internet, just sitting on this app. This is useful if you want to use Casa just as your main Bitcoin wallet, where it has your savings in the key shield, but it also has day-to-day usage in the single key. And if you hit down here, you can see send, receive. If you receive, you just have a regular address here that you can scan or copy. All right. And same thing for sending, even though there's no money in here right now. If I hit send, same thing, you can tap the top to scan a QR code, or you can enter in an amount and then you can paste in an address if you like. Also from the screen, you can drop the down button and you can see that it's going to automatically send from single key, but you can also change that in the settings, so you have the option to switch between this and your vault. So that about sums up the experience in Casa. I think that overall it's pretty idiot proof once you get it all set up. And for those of you that are super worried about your next of kin not having access to your funds and user error, and worried about somebody breaking into your home and stealing maybe a single signature device, this could be an excellent option for you. Keep in mind that they do have a 2 of 3 option, which is cheaper. They have upper echelon options like the platinum and the diamond, and those come included with all of the bells and whistles. You get actual calls with the team that will go through everything with you, and the top tier also comes with full-on inheritance planning and all of that. So there's a lot of bells and whistles when you get up to the top tiers. So overall, I think this is a good option, especially if you're high net worth and you're not particularly tech savvy and you just really want to idiot proof it, while still retaining custody of your funds and having just a fallback in Casa just in case something goes awry. Now, I also just wanted to do a quick assessment of the trade-offs here in utilizing something like Casa versus doing it yourself. Of course, you can set up your own multi-sig vault. This is easily available if you have the right number of hardware devices, or even without hardware devices, using something like a Blue Wallet on mobile devices if you have multiple cell phones kicking around. So what are you getting that's different with Casa? Number one, the trade-off I think comes mainly in one, cost, and two, in terms of privacy, because in having a single key and helping you put together this vault, Casa will have the ability to see the amount that is sitting in your vault. Now, they do not have the ability to move your funds in any scenario. They cannot steal or co-opt your funds or shut down your account in any way, shape, or form. But they can see an amount. Okay, so if you're worried about a state level attack where somebody finds out that you somehow have a Casa account and then they're able to pry out the amounts that were sitting in there, you know, that's a potential. Okay, but then they still got to get the funds from you. So keep that in mind. And of course, the costs can vary when you're using Casa depending on whether you're doing like a 2 of 3. This was a 3 of 5 with their platinum, and then the diamond is kind of like that top tier. I'm not going to quote prices right now because that could change with time and I don't want to date this video, but you can go to their website and kind of check out those different tiers. So of course, cost, privacy, that's where you're getting the trade-off, but what you're paying for here is for somebody to hold your hand every step of the way and have things in place where you can monumentally screw up and still be okay. And for some of you, that may be very, very attractive, particularly if you have a lot of money sitting in Bitcoin and you're not particularly tech savvy, and or you're worried that your friends or family members will not be able to access these funds in the event that something happens to you and you cannot access them yourself. So that's kind of what you're getting with Casa. That is the use case that I see. And I think for a lot of people, it can be a compelling one. So you need to judge for yourself and kind of make that decision and go with what works best for you. Thank you guys so much for watching. Of course, always do hit like, subscribe, and share. All of those things really help get this content in front of more eyeballs. If you want to help with the show in another way, you can hit up the sponsors I mentioned previously down below: LEDN, Bitbuy, Bitrefill, Keystone, and PrivacyPros.io. And if you really liked what you saw, you can always hit me up with a Bitcoin tip at my Strike page, which is strike.me/BTC sessions. When you head there, you can type in any amount you want. You hit the tip button, you're greeted with a Lightning QR code, a payment request, or if you click to the right, a regular Bitcoin address you can send to either. As always, have a wonderful day or evening wherever you may be, and I'll see you guys next time for your daily session.
Hodl the Bitcoin.